We are live. We are live on the Jeff Nosing podcast. I'm your host, Jeff Lopes. Super excited to have on today Tyler Ransom. What is up, brother?
Hey, what's up, Jeff? Thanks for having me on. I'm really excited to have you know.
This is going to be a fun conversation. It's probably been in the making for a little while, so it's fun that it has finally come to fruition that we are actually going to sit down and have a conversation about everything about you. And there's so many different layers, and it's so amazing that you're still so young to have so many different layers. And I do want to get into a deep conversation with you because everything you've been through at a very young age created the man that you are today, but at the same time too could really help a lot of young individuals that are going through medical situations and not knowing how to deal with them as they become teenagers, and understanding the impact it has on your family, impact it has on you, and also the support of your family. And as you become an adult, how much more you appreciate it. Let's break it down. Let's start off like what happened medically as a child, and let's start that whole process of the conversation. Let's get into that.
Yeah, of course. So when I was about 18 months, I was diagnosed with a kidney illness called nephrotic syndrome. Um, my mom had me on break. I was meeting like some family members, and my face got super swollen and everything. I came back home, my face was still swollen. My dad was like, "What's going on?" We go to the hospital. They diagnosed me with nephrotic syndrome, and that basically means that my kidney's filtering system shuts on and off. I'm not in control of that, and I basically pee out the good stuff that my body needs, and the bad stuff stays in it. Um, it reaches a culmination sometimes called a relapse, where I gain 15 to 20 pounds of excess fluid that my body hasn't gotten rid of. My eyes get swollen shut. My legs increase, so I can't put on my jeans. It's pretty hard. It's pretty hard. So I've had there's no cure. And I've had this since 18 months. It's sort of been something I've learned to use as a tool to teach others throughout my adolescence, which I'm still going through. And yeah, it's really the cusp of the tip of the iceberg.
Is this something that happens still at a regular basis, or is this something that your body you've learned to control, or medication has learned to control?
Whenever I would get a relapse growing up, we'd go to the hospital and they'd increase the dosage of medications. I'd use an IV. They'd give me certain things through transfusions, but I really don't have any control of it. You know, knock on wood, I haven't had one in 4 years. So things have been really good, but it's taken a while to really find a balance.
Explain balance. Is that through diet, lifestyle?
A little bit of that, but also just in regards to medication. I think one thing that I learned early on, you know, taking loads of medications at a time to taking very little medication at a time, was that it's really just a trial. I was fortunate to grow up with doctors that were really close to me and my family, and they always gave it to us straight. And they were like, "Hey, this medication is working right now, but in the long run, this maybe isn't the best option." But we don't really know what else to do. So we'd always have to, my dad would always go like on Google and like search the names and alternatives. My mom is a nurse, so she would like ask her friends, and we always try and find different things. And it was sort of like a puzzle. And, you know, we were trying to find the pieces that proper fit. And yeah, it was always just a trial and error type thing. And yeah.
What's your understanding with diet, nutrition, and just lifestyle? Like, has that something? Is this something that you've dove into as you became a young adult? Like, is this something that you've really honed your diet and nutrition, or is it something where you just live your life and eat what you want, kind of thing? Because I mean, something like this. I mean, diet, nutrition. I'm sure it could have a huge impact on what you put in your body, and even lowering whatever medicational dose you have. Is this something you focus on right now?
Oh, of course.
Okay.
I've been focusing on it like for ages. I
Yeah.
didn't really realize the importance of it, to be honest, until maybe I was like in middle school, and I was finally like asking my dad, "Why do we go to Whole Foods all the time? Like, why are we always looking for like dairy and gluten free things?" You know, I have friends that are eating like top ramen packets. Can I have that for lunch?
Yeah.
He'd be like, "No, the salt intake is too high." And yeah, it took me a while to proper realize that because of what I was putting in my body that made me healthy. That definitely changed the trajectory of how I am now, of how I was back then. Yeah, but it just what you put in your body is a representation of what you get out of it.
Your dad, who I know quite well, had obviously a vision for certain things. And one of his visions was but pretty much docking everything and recording a big chunk of your childhood, along with your sister. And that obviously came to that, which is an active documentary on most of the social platforms and most of the active platforms right now. And it's something I actually watched quite a few years ago with my kids. When he was recording all this, did you have an understanding? Were you guys aware that it was going to be put into documentary, or like what was your dad telling you when all this is being recorded as a young man?
He was more so whenever he was behind the camera filming, like Sky and I go through medication and things. He'd always say that what we're doing now is going to help others that we don't know about. And I don't know, YouTube was such like a small thing when I was growing up, but
Oh,
like everyone was still on it. So we were still like, what does this mean? Help others that we don't what? And I think 2 years into him filming, he sat Sky and I down and opened up his computer and they were showing there was like a I think this was in Thailand, but there was like a kidney festival for like nephrotic syndrome to like teach parents. And they had our video and they like dubbed over it and it was everything clicked in Sky and I were like, oh my goodness. So this is why he's been like we're helping others. Like it was like a light bulb moment. But yeah, whenever he was behind the camera, his whole motto was what we're doing, we're helping others by because no one's showing the side of the battle.
I love it. I love it. When it came to actually the final edits and all that stuff, did you have any say in it, or you dad put everything together?
I had some say. It was more so this was a culmination of my dad's experiences, my sister's experience. Like it was our whole family, and I think everyone wanted their own way, their voice to be heard, and how it all came together. We made sure that that was what happened. Like everyone had their story straight.
With that, it gives you an opportunity, and it's I've documented I've recorded and videos and photos of my son's journey from day one, and I've always said he has a higher purpose of being here, and I've always said that one day he's going to be able to tell his story, and it's very similar to what your dad did with you guys, and I don't know where or what I'll do with all this, and I do believe that one day he'll be on some form of a stage just telling his story, because we were put in a room 3 or 4 times to stop working on him, to shut off everything when he was a baby. uh, he was um he was diagnosed with CP, cerebral palsy, at a very young age. He was told that we'd be confined to a wheelchair, then confined to braces, and he wore braces up to 12 years old on his legs. So he's been this journey as well, this incredible journey, right? So when I look at you and I see the similarities of my son, when you now at your age, becoming a young adult, and you can sit back and look at the impact your parents had and the care and the love, because without that impact, that care, that love that some kids don't get enough of, you probably wouldn't be where you are today. How does that impact you? Like, how does that make you feel? Where's your mind with that? Let's dive deep into this.
It's emotional. I wouldn't be who I am or where I am without the support of my family, especially, heavy emphasis on my dad and sister. Um, Watching the documentary, a lot of things, like when I watched the final edit, there's this final, I mean, I guess I'm going to spoil it for some of your viewers, but like the final scene, Sky is interviewing me, and we're like 6, and then it cuts to Sky interviewing me, and
Yeah.
it's like present day. And I had a moment where I was like, whoa, we've been doing this this is insane. We've all gone through this roller coaster together. And with that being said, I was also like, wow, like my dad was really behind the camera for those 20 years, and
And it's not even 20 years, all the medical visits, all the hospital visits, all
all,
the all the scares as a parent. I don't think children really truly understand. And maybe when they become young adults like yourself, you really do understand it. Because I look at my son now and I don't think he gets the impact of the scary moments every time he's got to do a test, every time he's got to go to the hospital. It's as a parent, it's more impactful on you because any loving parent would rather have it happen to them than their kids. And I'm sure your dad and your mom, every time you had a medical emergency or a flare up or you had to be rushed to the hospital, it's that scare, that impact of like that helplessness. And have they ever talked to you about that?
a little bit. My dad always made it a point growing up to make sure that I know that this isn't just happening to me, but rather it's affecting everyone. My hospital stays, I'd see him and my mom duke out for like who's going to spend the night with me, like who's going to sleep on the one not comfortable chair, and my sister like taking time off school to spend the day with me in the hospital. And throughout the years, they'd always be like, "Oh, you're so strong, Tyler." Like it's very admirable, and I'd always respond saying like, "I truly get it from my parents, from my sister, my dad, from everyone working so hard to make sure that I stay on top of this. I can't give up because they're lifting me up so much. I only owe that much to them." And even now, being a young adult and being so far from home, I still get people that stop me that are, oh my God, you're the healing Tyler kid. Oh my, I watched you in Ronda Rousey. Like, you're such a warrior. And I think about how my dad sort of built this empire, or not empire, but he built like this
Yeah.
community. It's still having effect on people to this day. And like many people like give me all the praise, and I really wouldn't be anywhere I am today without him and all the kind words. I know it gets me emotional when I think about just how deep of a deep of a effect it all has, but it's such a big rabbit hole. And yeah. I don't know if that particularly answered your
No,
question,
you
but
do, you
it's
are, and I appreciate you being honest and raw with it. I mean, that's the whole idea of our conversation. The rawness is gonna help impact others too, right? They're gonna push you to your channel, push you to watch you, and see the impact in everything you're doing now, which we're gonna get into. You every second word say your sister's name, or you mention her, or her impact, or her connection to you, which is pretty awesome because I have an older sister. Sky is younger than you, I'm assuming, or older.
guys younger,
Yeah,
yeah.
I have an older sister. What's your age gap from you two?
We're only 2 years
Yeah.
apart.
So my kids are 2 years apart too. So me and my sister are 6 years apart. And maybe because of that gap, we only became close as we became adults because there was always a separation. When I started high school, she was done. So you two grew up together, just kind of like my kids. They're in high school together now. She is obviously impacted everything that has gone on with you and been with you through the journey, through all your visits, your hospitals, but also through BJJ and just being a friend. I mean, what does your sister mean to you?
Oh, she means a whole lot. She means a whole lot. Some of my earliest memories, like not earliest memories, but like elementary school, right when I'm starting to get into the routine of, okay, so I'm getting blood work done every 2 weeks. Okay, so I'm seeing the doctor like 2 times every month. When I was starting to get into that, this is my lifestyle. I remember we'd both be late to school on Fridays getting blood work, and she'd come just so she could. Like when someone grabs your arm, they like cause the tension, she would do that on my other arm right when the needle was hitting, so I wouldn't feel it. Granted, I won't tell her now, but that just made everything worse because then I felt like double pain on both arms. For the time being, I was like, that's very kind that she's doing that. But even from the small things like that to the big things like staying with me in the hospital, she's given me a lot of strength. Um, People at school would always, when we went to the same elementary and middle school, and they'd always be like, what's up with Tyler? Like, he looks like Megamind. He looks like an alien right now. I'd have a relapse. And she'd always, have my back, be like, this is what's going on. Um, I could punch you right now. Things like that, typical sister stuff. But she's given me lots of strength and motivation to really be myself, and I don't know, to have the strength and courage that to use this as a tool. This all of this isn't just me. I'm a really timid person and things like that, and I think my family brings that out of me, the courage and the strongness. I don't know.
Your impact in the love for music, when did that start? Like when did you take away the guitar and jazz and all that stuff, but when was your earliest recollection that you could sit back and be like, you'd hear a song and be like I get this, because you're at a different level. When I mean, people could listen to a song and jive to it and love it and sing to it, but to understand music on a level of learning it and your lifestyle and becoming part of who you are and your fabric. What age and when was your earliest recollection of just really starting to fall in love with music? And then how did that lead to where you are now with jazz and guitar and making it a career kind of thing, right? When did all that path start?
Probably middle school going into high school, because I played in the jazz band all middle school, and I was like, okay, like I get this, like this makes sense. But then as I transitioned to high school and I picked up the guitar and I started playing that, I think that's when I spiritually and emotionally got connected to it, because I was like,
So you're
I
around
was
14, 15.
around 14 to 15, I started to see, like my eyes opened. When I picked up the guitar, I was like, this is what I'm going to do. Because I would only listen to Jimi Hendrix and Stevie Ray Vaughan, Grant Green, all these great guitarists with a guitar in hand, and I'd like play along with them. Not as good, but I'd understand what they were saying, and
Explain
I think
explain that to me. Give me
I'd
more
understand what
detail.
they were saying.
Yeah.
I It wouldn't be like, man, that was a crazy guitar solo.
Yeah.
Anyways, next, but I'd be like, whoa. So he chose to like bend to like, we're in A minor right now. He's going to like the third, and then he's going to the fifth. Oh wait, but this is a turnaround right now. So I see he's doing, this is the flat seventh now. This is a blues note. And I'd suddenly like unlock and hear all these different things. I'd be like, whoa, okay. So Jimi Hendrix and Stevie Ray Vaughan, they both were influenced by Kenny Burrell. Kenny Burrell loves like the specific scale. And I'd like start putting things together, and I'd bounce back and be like, okay, Stevie Ray Vaughan said you listen to this guitarist in this interview, and then that guitarist said, and I'd have something in my room. I'd have just like a whiteboard, and I would just write down guitarist names, and I'd be like, okay, this is like the map I must follow. And yeah, some of my best memories when I first started to pick up the guitar was just sitting in my room, and just like my mom would have a curfew for guitar because I'd play so much. So then right when I reached my curfew, I couldn't play anymore. I'd put my earbuds in, and then I would just stay up all night just listening to different guitarists, and be like, okay, whoa, so Jimi Hendrix just like went through a breakup right now. I can hear it, and things like that. But I was really just enhancing my language and starting to understand the language of music altogether in those early years. And it really
Did
solidified.
you have, sorry about it, did you have a teacher or somebody locally that had a huge impact on you as well?
I had like two teachers on and off. I had one teacher that my mom got me, and I saw him maybe like 3 times over the span of 6 months because he was a little expensive. And then my dad found a guitar teacher at a guitar shop that was near his coffee shop that he would frequent called Mr. Kim was the teacher's name, and I saw him maybe like once a month. But a lot of it was they'd give me the tools, but it was up to me to use them. You know what I mean? So a lot of it was done in my room, just or like in the shed, just hammering away on the guitar and trying to make my voice heard through this instrument.
How did you progress from what guitar did you start from, and how did it progress to what you're using now?
When I first said I wanted to play guitar, my parents laughed. So that wasn't the best. My mom was like, "Yeah, if you could find like the cheapest one." And at the time, I was like, "Okay, well, I need the Jimi Hendrix limited edition Fender Stratocaster, which is $2,500. So I don't have that." um, and my mom was like, "No, we're not doing that. If you want to play guitar, find something and then prove to us that like you'll stick with it." And I was like, "That's fair." So we found this Fender acoustic guitar on Craigslist for like $15. And it was so rinky dinky, and I the tuners were broken, and like it was heavy, and it just the action was so high, the strings were all dusty. I didn't know how to change strings, but that was my first guitar. And
Do you still have it?
I still have it. I still
That's shit like that is cool.
it's a piece of history, but I had that for about a year, and I sort of think that my parents transitioned me to an electric guitar. Well, not only because I proved that I could play it, but because an acoustic guitar is loud, and I
Yeah.
would hammer away at it constantly, and I feel like I just had to tire them out. But after a year, they bought me in my first electric guitar, which was just like a PV beginner's guitar, and that's when everything was like, I was like, oh, I could do these bends now. Like I can finally hit these notes, and after that, I was just off to the races.
So this is roughly, I would assume, around 16 by now.
This is like 15.
It's
This is
15.
that whole first year of picking up the guitar was just nonstop. I,
When's the first time you actually performed in front of even a small audience, but an audience?
an
What age?
audience, my first time. But it was probably, let's see, I picked, my friend had a small jazz gathering for an art show. This was like the end of middle, like I was only playing guitar for like half a year. So like 14 and a half. I played jazz band with my saxophone and everything, but the first time I like brought my guitar, I felt so cool holding my guitar to the gig. I was like, yeah, I'm a guitar player. And I think there's like one video of it that my mom posted or my dad, or my sister. We're playing Careless Whisper, and I remember this is like my first time playing guitar like in front of people, and the guitar is like way too high up on my chest because I didn't rearrange the neck strap, and I'm just looking down the whole time. I'm looking down with the straightest face. I remember because after my sister was like, "You looked so unhappy," and I just after that I was like, "Okay, well, I felt awesome. This is my advice. I must do this more." That was my first time performing, and after that, it was
With yourself applying, you're right now in the Edis Road is down New York New School of Performing Arts, which is a pretty well recognized school. Was that your number one choice for schools?
I went to UC Davis my first year actually,
Oh, you
and I
did.
didn't. I'm crazy. I
Yeah.
know, very crazy. I went to UC Davis my first year, and I forgot how it came about, but basically, then when COVID hit and we were going online, it just it wasn't clicking with me. I was taking these music classes, and I just wasn't feeling the music at all. and someone reached out from new school, and they were like, "Hey, you should like give this a shot." And I was like, "Okay, full send." And I went off on a limb, and now I'm here. It was very spontaneous how it all happened. So then the whole transfer student and everything. And I think coming from an established like UC school
Yeah.
that was known for its STEM program, where the music program was like it was so small, to coming to a full art school in New York, where the first day I was like, I'm in art school now. Guess I'm too good. I'm too good for everyone back home. And I came into class with my guitar. And Jeff, I kid you not, the whole class was 30 other kids, all with like afros like me, that had Fender Strats playing the same thing that I play all the time. And suddenly I was like, uh, I had this whole, who am I? Who, all these people also listen to like Jimi Hendrix. And
But explain that. And that, is that a good thing, a bad thing? Was it you thought in your mind how you were different, and all of a sudden you recognized and realized that you weren't so different? There was a lot of people with your same interests. Was that a positive thing or a negative thing?
I think I realized all my years of studying Jimi Hendrix, Stevie Ray Vaughan, learning their licks, I was becoming an awesome guitar player, but I was creating no original thought. I don't know. It's
Interesting.
like
Interesting.
I don't know if that made
No, it
sense.
does. Yeah, it does.
I realized, okay, I can impersonate all these different guitarists now. And then suddenly I go into a guitar class that's Jimi Hendrix based.
Yeah.
And suddenly 30 other kids can play the same Jimi Hendrix solo as me. And then the teacher's like, okay, now play a solo that you guys can make. And everyone is suddenly, it's like we all haven't touched a guitar. And that was the first day. And I remember I was like, this can't happen again. No way. No, 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 no. And I really had to, I spent so many years picking up the guitar and understanding its language. I realized I never really gave myself time in the practice room to develop my own.
Your own
You know,
language.
I understood what other guitarists were saying, but then when it came to me saying what I wanted to say, I realized, oh, I'm only like saying, I'm just copying minute three of Jimi Hendrix right now. Is this what I'm saying, or is this something I heard off Bold as Love? And it was a really it was a big reality check, and I think it's nice that it happened so fast, because now I'm only, or at least me personally, I feel like a much better musician.
Yeah, it's just different peaks and valleys and different metals you're going to go through as an artist and as a human, right? You're always learning, growing, developing, and this is, I mean, you'll continue that journey to the day we die, man. I always say you never stop learning to the day you die, right? So with that, there's two things I want to talk about. One, you keep mentioning two individuals that obviously had a huge impact in your start. Who do you, at the beginning you said, is it Hendry? Like who do you look back to as your biggest influence artist wise?
The if I had to choose, it's probably Jimi Hendrix.
Do you think he's the greatest of all time?
To me, he is.
Okay.
I Yeah, he's like my whole. He's everything to me. The reason I picked up guitar, the reason I still play it, I would dress up as him all high school, like for Halloween, not like every day.
Okay. Okay.
I should have led with that, but yeah, he's up there for me.
Now I'm gonna ask you something which I don't know if you've ever done on air. Do you have a guitar beside you?
I have a guitar.
Yeah, you want to play something for me?
I'm gonna play something.
Yeah, let's do it. Give me a minute or something, and then we'll drop off the talk with the guitar because there's a bunch of other things I want to talk about. I think it'll be a cool little segue that we put part of the podcast. Whatever you want, something on that you've created on your own.
I don't know if you can proper here.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, some
That's awesome.
I don't know. It was just that was
So you have an apartment in New York. These apartments are obviously, I'm assuming, because I know New York quite well, they're small. They're older buildings. Do you play a lot in your room? Do you get your neighbors
uh,
ever say anything?
there was one time my neighbor, knocked on the ceiling, and ever since then I've only been playing through the computer. It's it's very small. Everyone hears everything, but I
Yeah.
I plug into the computer and I whittle away.
Yeah. Very, 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 very cool. So your dad influenced you and your sister into BJJ from a very young age as well. What was your first experience in understanding of BJJ? And you've had some incredible instructors because I've seen videos and people, even obviously even part of your documentary as well, right? So
Sorry,
with
just broke
yeah,
up.
do you hear me?
Oh, I hear you. You're good now.
Yeah, yeah. So BJJ, like it's obviously like I said, is a big part of who you are. Do you still practice it on a regular basis?
Not as regular. I found a handful of gyms here that I've gone to, but I haven't been doing it like as frequently. Still trying to find one.
So let's get back into growing up and that being part of you and your sister's upbringing. Let's talk a little bit about that. And it ended up being a part of your documentary and obviously it influenced, like I said, with Ronda Rousey and other individuals and 10th Plan and all that stuff. Let's talk about BJJ and how it impacted you and how much you enjoyed it growing up because it was a big part of who you are. And you guys are so involved with it. Now it's become such a sport that celebrities and all these people are around all the time. And you're seeing Joe Rogan, I think, has brought it to another level of audience, and all these celebrities are doing it all the time. So let's talk about it and how it impacted you growing up and your I would say probably love for it because you obviously were very dedicated, right?
Of course. And yeah, but like jumping off what you were saying, it is wild to me seeing all these like big name. Like I saw a video of no, not Mark Zuckerberg.
Yeah, yeah,
He
yeah,
was,
yeah,
he competed and
yeah.
he was like good. And
Yeah,
I
yeah,
was like,
yeah, yeah. He's full out MMA right now. He's full going guns to the blazing like training right now. 100%.
I was in awe. I only found out because a friend sent me this and was like, "Yo, like, is this good? I know you do jujitsu." And I was like, "Is this real? Like,
Yeah.
is this?" But no, it's crazy seeing how I love how big it's become. But my earliest memory is really my dad had me in kinder karate, and after that, he moved me to Muay Thai, and then after that, he moved me to Brazilian Jiu Jitsu, and we only kept moving because came to the point that I was starting not in kinder karate. I got a little too good, or too good, as good as you can get in kinder karate. So then
Yeah.
they moved to the middle school class, and this one kid was really mad at me because I was pretty good. So then he sparred a little too hard with me. That really hurt me. So then we went to Muay Thai, and just the training for that was just way too intense for me, to be
Yeah.
honest. So we were like, no. Then we landed on jujitsu, and I think what drew me to jujitsu is just the fact that it really is just like mental chess. It's all about grappling, but there's so many different ways you can go about different positions. And I stuck to it for so long simply because every class I take, I'd be in awe. I'd, Everyone has different technique. And I think having the privilege or the opportunity to go and spar with these different big names in the mixed martial arts world and to have so many different instructors that really understood different languages, similar to guitar when I would listen to like Jimi Hendrix versus Stevie Ray Vaughan. It would be the same as me when I'd go take a no-gi class with Eddie Bravo and then I'd go to Gracie Academy and roll with Hito and Gracie. I'd be like, whoa, like I see the differences and this is so awesome. I'm able to take all these tools and make my own different game out of it. And I just love jujitsu for that fact because it really gives anyone the opportunity. It doesn't matter what your size is or what's holding you back. You leave it all on the mat. And it's also given me so many tools that I use off the mat as well. As hard as mental chess is or chess is to someone, it's also just really therapeutic when you really get into a flow of something.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm sparring with someone in jiu-jitsu and I'd get into a flow and it's so meditative, and which a lot of people are probably like, what is he talking about? But yeah, I fell in love with it. I'm still in love with it. And when Sky joined, Sky's my sister that was watching. Sorry, I realize I haven't said her name at all.
No, you have, you have. You
Oh,
said it a few
sweet.
times, yeah.
When she joined, it was all the more fun because naturally then we'd spar all the time, and that she kicked my butt. And then my dad joined. It became a whole thing, but
Dude,
it's
so your dad joined after you guys. I thought for some reason he was already involved in it.
no. He I guess he dabbled in it, but really, I think he just had FOMO. Like he felt left out once Sky and I started doing it.
Yeah.
He'd do the same classes as us, and we'd be like, okay, let's calm down. And then he'd compete because Sky competed, and it was a whole thing. But it really brought us all together, and we all loved
Did
it.
you ever compete?
I competed one time, and then I realized all this pressure and yelling is not for me. It's a different lifestyle. It's definitely a different lifestyle. It no longer becomes meditative to me, once you compete.
You're
Yeah,
very, it's funny because before the podcast went live today, you were talking about the New York life scene and how anybody that truly knows you and through this podcast, you can realize you're very, you got the California chill to you, very laid back chill. And you got the skateboards in the background and you're very, very, very chill mode. Explain the difference from New York to California lifestyle wise
it's just
and how it's impacted you
the
and how it's changed you. Do you realize it?
oh, this is a heavy question. It's and something I reflect on a lot, especially because my family just came last week and they were pointing out all these different things and my mannerisms. But
Explain
in,
mannerisms. What do they pull out?
like the speed of which I walk, um, if a stranger talks to me for the directions, how quick I am to be like, it's this and that, go. But man, that makes me sound awful. Or just waving down a taxi. My mom tried and didn't really. And then I had to and they came. And my mom would be like, "Well, you never do that." I'd be like, "Oh, that wasn't me that you just saw." But I didn't realize how much California played a role in just my development, who I am, until I moved out here to New York and I started meeting people that are from the East Coast.
Yeah.
And no, Jeff, I'd high five someone I met and they'd be like, "Oh, you're from California, huh?" And I'd be like, "How did you what? What did I do?" And they'd just be like the cadence of your voice, like you're so California. And I
Yeah.
was like, I mean, got a rep. I had no idea. And then the differences between California and New York, New York is very high pace. I'm not saying California isn't high pace, but you get to choose which pace you live in. In California, I feel there's a lot more space to roam. And here in New York, everyone is stacked upon one another, and it's really just everyone is constantly at it. You sort of have to be doing something every day. Doesn't really matter which degree, but you should be doing something every day to keep the momentum going because the city doesn't really stop.
No, at all. Does not go to sleep at all.
Not
And
really.
especially if you're anywhere near Times Square, the city does not sleep at all. Those 10 blocks or 8 blocks around that radius is just 24/7. Go, go, go.
Constant, just
Yeah.
and how it's changed me. I think my work ethic, to be honest.
Good or
I
bad.
in a great way.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, Jeff. I'd be so relaxed back home. which isn't bad, but like I'd if something was like due, I would like take an extra day maybe.
California vibes.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
And out here, I'm like the first to like submit assignments like a week early, just so I can go to the next thing. I have like a big list behind my computer of just like a to-do list, and it's like 50 different things, and I'm like always on go mode. So it's definitely made me more hungry for a career being here, hungry for success. Yes,
Positivity is a huge part of who you are, right?
of course.
And obviously everything you went through, that's something I guess it's instilled in you. How do you radiate that? Like, how do you pass that along? How do you influence others with that?
I think it goes back down to the simple golden rule of just treating others how you want to be treated. I think in elementary school, some of the biggest memories I have are kids being really, they weren't like purposely being mean to me, but it was more so they were just confused as to why my face was swollen, why I looked, 15 pounds bigger. So, they
Yeah.
bullied me, things like that. And
Kids,
I was,
kids could be mean. You have to be, that's the reality of it, right?
yes. And it was more so just like, okay, I need to use this illness as a tool for teaching. And doing that, I realized that then they understood, and then they treated me how I wanted to be treated, things like that. But even now, the day to day, just interacting with different people, and really just giving them the energy that you'd like to receive. I think a big thing, it's in my father and I's book, Chronically Positive. Positive is in the name, but we have these different steps that helped us stay positive throughout my adolescence, being in the hospital so many times, taking so many medications, the trials and errors of being a parent of someone that's going through all of this. And it's important to keep a positive attitude, because if you don't, then I think everything sort of comes crashing down. If my dad was negative the whole time, I would have get fed off that energy, and maybe would have led to me not eating as healthy, and it would have just been like a big domino effect. I don't know, positivity sort of is like the foundation of everything that I am. And it's really brought me this far. So I try and include every way I can.
It's such a strong foundation for anyone, right? And it's just the outlook on, because reality is nothing's perfect in this world. Reality is we're all going to have shit days. Reality is we're going to have shit moments of diagnosis, loved ones dying, messing up at a project or school. There's shit happens every single day. And if you don't, or are not able to look through a lens of positivity and try to find kind of like the shining light in everything, like, this world could be pretty shit. And I think that's why a lot of the issues we're seeing with our younger generation with mental illness and stress, anxiety, with social media, and it's going back to what you said, kids can be mean. When you're dealing with a teenager and now they have the pressures of being a teen, pressures of social media, pressures of trying to be perfect, right? Having a positive attitude and having that kind of let it go, don't give a shit attitude is so needed, especially in our youth nowadays. And you're seeing it getting less and less. That's just a scary thing, right? We're seeing it, our youth really, with social media, their anxiety levels are higher, their confidence levels are lower. How do you think that could be changed? And that is it something where, and I'm asking this because I want to hear your answer. I know where my mind is, but is it something that starts at home? Is it something that starts with the parents?
I think it's a little bit of everything. Um, the internet is definitely a scary thing. I think people should limit their time on it. Don't live on the screen as much. Like, go outside, go on a bike ride. That's definitely what I do. I try and limit my phone time a lot, and that's definitely helped me in so many ways. I had this moment last year where I deleted Instagram for like a whole 2 months, and I just rode my bike every day, and I was really super happy and not as anxious. But I think, answering your question, I think it starts with the phone. It probably also starts or not starts with, but your life at home. I'm not sure. People don't talk a lot. People don't talk anymore. I realize that I'm talking to someone and their eyes are like darting so many places, or like they're texting someone while I'm talking to them. But I think it comes down to like working on your
Being,
communication.
I think what you said there is just being present.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing. People need to start being present. Don't live on the feed. Don't depend on the feed as much as we are right now, because one day I don't think any of this is really going to matter.
I don't think it matters now, but we all think it does.
Exactly.
I
Man,
think
I should
it.
I should have been present talking to Jeff, but instead I was like on Instagram, something like that.
I was talking to somebody the other day, and you're quite young to understand. I mean, you're going to understand it, but I was talking to me the other day, and we were having this conversation. And if you hit that reality where somebody will look at you today and be like, "Today's your last day on Earth," I'm guarantee you're picking up that phone and calling people you haven't talked to in a while. Or you're going to reach out to your loved ones. So if somebody puts that pressure on you, saying, "Hey, that's the last day on Earth," or "This is your last living hours," and now all of a sudden these things have meaning to you, why don't they have meaning to you on a regular basis? And it's called, to me, is like, it's, you have to become and understand that these things in life have to become non-negotiable. Reaching, talking to your parents on a regular basis, talking to your siblings, talking to your loved ones, having relationships, putting your phone down, being present as a dad to your kids. These should be non-negotiables, because there is going to be a moment in your damn life where you're going to look back and regret it. And I think that's the biggest thing, is most people, they have so much regrets and they only realize these regrets on your deathbed, right?
Yeah,
And it's awesome that at your young age you have the vision, understanding to understand that, because a lot of kids, a lot of youth, a lot of, and I'm talking about youth, I'm talking about young adults, 20, 30 years, that they've grown up in a social media world and they don't understand how to be present. They don't understand how to live with non-negotiables and no regrets. They don't get any of this stuff, and then they lose a parent, or they lose a loved one, or they lose a friend in an accident, and it's like, holy shit, I should have picked up the phone. And you have all these regrets after, and those regrets start building. So I commend you for being a young adult and being able to understand and recognize this at such a young age, because I mean that has a lot to do with obviously your upbringing as well, and your influence by your parents and your sister being in your life so close to you. I'm gonna jump off off topic now, because there's something I actually heard about the other day, and I want to see what your thoughts are on this. I was listening to a podcast with Joe Rogan and Post Malone, and they were talking about
nice.
AI, and they were talking about AI, how he has a handful of songs out that somebody just went on AI, took his voice, and created a song. And he was like, these are pretty damn good. And he's like, in the next year, I could see these being so good that, like, are people going to buy my music? Being an artist with a guitar, where's your mindset with that? Where's your mindset with AI? Could this ruin the music industry? Could this benefit the music industry? Like, where's your mindset with that? Even if you put any thought into it.
AI is very scary. It's when I think about it heavily, because it's something that's also come up in a lot of my music classes.
Interesting. Okay.
So my spring semester last year, like January through March, we all talked about it. I had a music production class. And the whole emphasis, it was us working on producing songs and then bringing them to class every week. And there was this one student, one classmate I had, and every week he'd bring in a different song that had Drake on it. And we'd be like, okay, is this like, did you just get the audio from this one song and put it? And he'd be like, no, no, I gave Drake the lyrics. Like, this is just AI. We were all like, what? And he show step by step. There's so
Yeah.
many different programs now, Jeff.
Oh, it's crazy.
You choose the artist and then you record vocals and then the AI fixes it up, and then spits it out as the artist. And it can be a tool for some, but I really just see it as it's just really scary. I think we're all losing our artistic voices, and it's a little bit of a shortcut maybe for some people. I was watching this one YouTuber, and he was making a beat, and then he was like, "This beat crazy. If Baby Keem was on it, Baby Keem is a rapper." So he went on Google, then he just typed in like Baby Keem AI, and then 50 different Baby Keem AI generators popped up, and the song did sound better. And I could see how this is an awesome tool, but I also see how people can use this maybe to sell music that they say is like unreleased Post Malone, and
It's just is how do you control it? Because I don't think there'll be any control. One thing Post Malone said, which he thought is cool and he thought was interesting, and he thought he had zero control over, is, for example, a guy wants to write a personal love song to his girlfriend, and he could insert his name, her name, and make Post Malone's voice do it, and his lyrics, and all of a sudden he's got this customized song. Where in the world 2 years ago or even 3 years ago that you would ever be like, how could I get Post Malone to write a song to my girlfriend? And now you could get there, and it's going to get better and better and better to the point where it might be almost impossible to identify. It might even be better than his own lyrics eventually. Is that going to put a lot of artists out of business, or is that going to be a situation where you're just going to have influencers and brand? When I mean brand, which you'll have the face of a brand, and then eventually they're just going to license their face or their voice out. Is that where we're going to lead to it? Like, how do you control it? Especially something like you, that you're a guitarist, you do jazz, you're very specific niche. How does that impact you and your future?
I think it makes everyone in music a little scared because there is no control, and the possibilities for it are unheard of. It's only going to get better.
Yeah.
People can only consume whoops, people can only consume so much music as well. um, I think it's an awesome tool, but I don't think we know how to proper use it to the fact that we still have our original voices being heard. I think the main thing with AI right now is everyone is having different voices, different well-known. Like I heard Michael Jackson sing Gongman Style the other day, and I was like, "This is crazy."
And did it sound good?
It sounded good,
Yeah,
which
that's
made me
crazy.
all the more upset. I was like,
Yeah.
"Am I like bobbing my head to this?" And it's just, I really don't. I don't think I have a proper answer for you, Jeff, just because I've never seen anything I'm just, if anything, I'm just scared because I don't know what's gonna happen.
Where do you see your future? Take away the AI. Where do you see your future? Where do you want to be in 2 or 3 years? And it's hard to take the AI out of it, but where do you want to be in 2 or 3 years?
I mean, the main thing is like I just want to be happy. I want to be riding my bike and playing guitar, and that's not very. I don't know if that's like a realistic answer, but lately I've just been doing shows around New York, whether that be playing bass or guitar in a band that needs a bass and guitarist. So they hire me to play. I've been doing small, intimate shows to test out new material. I've been doing that in front of friends, and I don't
Have
know,
you
going.
have you? I'm assuming you have, but have you recorded your own music?
Oh, of course.
Yeah, yeah. And how is that going out? Like, do you have a management group? Like, how does that all work?
It's really just me. I'm just going
Independent.
off vibes. Sometimes my dad butts in, not butts in, but he's like he offers words of wisdom, like, "Oh, I think you broke up again,"
No,
but
no,
it's
I'm still
okay.
here. No, I'm still here. Everything
Oh,
was no,
okay,
yeah, yeah, yeah. Everything recorded. Yeah.
but yeah, it's been a process. It's been something I've been doing as long as playing the guitar. So I really, that in itself has also been a roller coaster. Just working on my lyricism and my producing, but it's all just these different variables. Music is it's very in, it's a very unique hobby, unique lifestyle to have.
Yeah, of course. I mean, whether you're a painter or a musician, I mean, you always hear that saying, the starving artist, right? So how do you turn this into a career? Do you want to work with other artists? Do you want to collaborate? Do you want to be always more independent? Do you want to always stay more indie scene? Like where do you see yourself? Which your vibes give me indie scene, right? But where do you see it? Because you
I
do
think
have to
just
make you're at the situation in your life right now, kind of the crossroads where over the next couple of years, like you do want to be doing what you love and financially being able to get by. And you're one of millions of other artists all trying to do this. How do you stand out? How do you separate yourself? How do you make it into a career? How do you get noticed? Right. So what platforms are you going to try to get to? Are you going to try to get to Americans Got Talent? Like I'm just throwing things out there. Like how do you get yourself to the point where it could be a career where financially, and to me wealth, I always say this, Tyler, is wealth is being financially free to do what you love, when you love, how you love it. That's all wealth is. How do you get to that point as an artist?
I think it's maintaining a strong sense of self, being very authentic with you. I think a big thing, your mug says Papa Bear, that's funny. But I think a lot of people get lost in the business side of music or how their personal brand has to be seen or perceived by others. So then they start to lose a sense of the self, and you hear that in their music, and you're like, oh, this isn't really them. They're sort of just commercializing their music. But I think people,
Don't you think that to get to that level of stardom, you almost have to do that?
I think that's the scary thing because I
Because you
think some,
look at somebody like Taylor Swift, where she's coming to Toronto and they're pre-selling tickets to her concert a year and a half in advance. And there's one, I guess they call it the golden ticket. She's selling for $100,000, and
insane.
most tickets that sold for 500, there was a lottery to get them, and those the next day were reselling for 5,000. And this is a show a year and a half in advance. So she is the perfect example of how commercialized an artist could get to and how rich they could get off it. How do you get to a point where, and I can't even, I don't know where your future holds, but how do you get to the point where financially you could make a career out of it? And where do you have to get there? Like, would you try to join a band? Like, where's your mindset with this?
I, whenever I make music, I just hire friends in music school to play and support me, and that's sort of my band. It's all under my name.
Okay.
And I've been writing, like I write music for like short films and different commercials, things like that. And that's sort of,
You do.
yeah,
Interesting.
that's definitely that. Hey, Tyler, I need music for a podcast. These are the elements I want to bring in. If you could have this done by like next week, that'd be great. And then I spend a week doing it. They're happy. And that's given me a big outlet. I'm very happy to help provide music services for, businesses and companies and things like that. Like that definitely is an avenue that I've been going down. But I think also just working on my own musical voice and putting my story out there music wise. I know I have something to say, and it's more so how am I gonna put it in a digestible form music wise that everyone will like, or not everyone will like, but in a way that feels authentic to me because I know people gravitate towards authenticity in the music scene.
100%. No, this is in life in general.
Yeah. So I think it's just finding a balance in all those elements. And when it's ready, that's when I'll be ready to bring it into the world.
As an artist, are you a perfectionist? And why I'm
Oh,
asking that, you are. See, that's also the scary part of it. Because as a perfectionist, you never feel like it's ready to be put onto the world. So how do you break through that and be like, you know what? I just got to get it out there. When do you? Where's that fine line?
there are definitely songs that I have out that, I've had for 5 years. And then I think it's really just an internal thing because after those 5 years, I finally listened and I was like, okay, it's all clicking. I'm ready. So as big of a perfectionist I am, I do think I reach like the finish line at the end of the day. Sometimes that being I send, the final product to like a friend and I'm like, hey, yes or no. And they're like, it's ready. And I'm like, this is my sign, yes.
Cool. Cool.
Um,
Do you have
yeah.
anything in the pipeline coming out anytime soon?
Not right now. I'm always writing music. I try and write a song a day, which I've been doing all summer.
Seriously, huh?
It's the only way to get it all going. Good or bad, it's good I just put it out there.
Are you the type when you're just walking down the street or you in the middle of the night, you think of something, you'll just pick up your phone and throw those lyrics on the phone or write it down on a piece of paper so you don't forget it?
Of course, I
Yeah.
have so many notepads here just filled with different things. I don't really like the phone anymore because the phone, if you like delete something, it's gone. With
Yeah.
the notepad, I just scratch it and then I
Yeah.
keep going. And sometimes when I'm listening to music, I listen for like the page flip. Sometimes I'm like, that's how I know they're about it. But
Yeah. Very
yeah.
cool. Very, very, very cool. Last question I got for you, Tyler. And I asked you what your sister meant. What does your dad mean to you?
Um, I said my sister, Jimi Hendrix, they all mean everything, but my dad really means, oh my God, it's like a broken record, but like he means everything to me. I definitely wouldn't be anywhere I am today without him. He's given me life tools that I'll carry with me, forever. And he really showed me that if you really want something, you can like work, like give it 100. It was a big leap coming out here, majoring in music in New York City. And it's definitely something I wouldn't have done, but he really believed in me and believes in me to the point that it made me, oh, okay, I can do this. If he sees this, it's very encouraging. And I'm lucky to have grown up with a father that's super supportive and willing to fight for me when even sometimes I'm not willing to fight for myself. But he really means everything to me, and I love him very much. Yeah.
I love it. 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 This has been awesome, brother. Where can our audience get a hold of you? I know we had some negativity towards social media, but how can they follow you on social media? Give me
Welcome.
all the links. Do you have a website or anything like that?
Yeah, TylerRansom.com. If you want to see the documentary that you and I both love so much, it's In the Shed, which is available on almost all streaming platforms, intheshed.com as well. I'm open to writing music for any companies that need music. I love doing that. Makes me happy. And then, just Tyler Ransom on Instagram. Everything else, I don't know. It's just my name.
Do you so is there an actual link on your website where do you advertise that for the business, like creating content for businesses, for podcasters, for intros, stuff? Is that right on your website?
We just have, just inquiries. You just
But
mail what you need, and
yeah, but you
I'll get,
explain what you do there.
I'm gonna do that now. Thank you, Jeff.
I've been an entrepreneur for 27 years. These are just basic shit you should be doing, buddy. That'll help. And have you ever heard of Fiverr?
Oh yeah, I've been on Fiverr. I've done my time on Fiverr.
Okay. Okay. So your website, I mean, I would put that in all your bios of all your social media, what you do, and then have the direct link to your website. And your website should have an understanding or at least samples of ones you've done, and then a link of a contact point because they're all simple things you could probably put together in a day or something, but it'll just I guarantee you'll bring you more traffic and more business, especially if somebody hears this podcast, which we get a really, really good audience. We have a lot of downloads. And then all of a sudden they go to your website and they're like, and they don't see it or see an example, it might just turn them away kind of thing, right? So if they go to your website and they have a couple examples or a couple testimonials from your customers, plus a link of, hey, get to contact me or send me what you're looking for, information. And then all of a sudden that could create some more traffic, some more business for you, especially going through school to help pay the bills and stuff, right?
There we go. Thank you, Jeff. Jeff knows.
There you go, buddy. This has been awesome, brother. I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thank you,
And
Jeff.
anything you ever need or anything like that, I know your dad's an entrepreneur as well, but reach out to me. I'd be more than happy to help you.
Thank you, Jeff.